Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Real Talk here
Hello.
on Shelbyville Now. It is Thursday afternoon,
Yes.
4:06 p.m., June the
Yes,
12th.
That's exactly
All
right.
right,
All
Bo,
day
we-
long.
Bo, we talked earlier this week about some real estate data, and you came up with some
Yeah.
data.
Sure did.
We want to go over that with everybody. And first, though, we want to thank our sponsor,
Norris Plumbing.
Norris Plumbing.
24-hour service, right?
We appreciate him sponsoring Real Talk.
Yeah.
And on Real Talk, what I want us to throw out there for everybody, we're going to talk. We're just going to give out some information.
Yeah.
Okay. People can choose to do what they want to with it. I encourage people to do your own research
Yes.
and find out stuff
Yes.
instead of just letting other people think for you. Think for yourself. That's what we want to encourage here,
That's right.
because I think that's what has kind of spawned this show.
It has.
We had ahead of the curve
Yes,
for the last couple of years,
Yep.
3 years
Yeah.
that we've done. And I think people, they start relying on what we say and
Mhm.
don't go look it up for themselves.
Yeah.
Then that puts us in a position of where, well, they're lying. They don't know
Yeah,
what they're talking
no.
about if somebody has a different opinion.
That's right.
So we're just going to lay out facts, have some real talk about
Real
it,
talk.
and we will give our opinion on it, okay,
Yes,
and
that's
say this is our opinion,
That's it.
okay?
That's right.
And that's what we're going to do today. We're going to throw out some facts.
Mhm.
We're going to be some numbers thrown out today.
But we do research on this, and we
Right.
do give our best opinion. And if we wrong, we'll come back and we'll own it. But the moral of the story is think for yourself. Go to different sources. Find out for yourself, and don't rely just on one source or one person.
Yeah, don't you think for yourself. That's what we want to encourage here is free thinking, because free thinking people are free people.
Yes.
All right, so let's talk. Let's pause now and hear from Norris Plumbing,
Yes.
our awesome sponsor.
We
We'll
love
be
them.
right back.
Norris Plumbing, your go-to source for licensed and insured plumbing services. Hour emergency services when you need it. Norris Plumbing. Call us at 931-703-5915.
All righty, welcome back in here to Real Talk. Bo, I know earlier in the week we talked about some real estate numbers, and you were going to look those up
Yeah.
for us, and you got some for us. Tell us about listings as far as how we have done so far this year, as how many listings.
Well, there's actually, less. There's more inventory. The moral of the
Right.
story on today's is there's more active inventory than there was a year ago.
Up 45%, according to what you were telling me.
And that, what does that tell us? That tells us that there are less people buying homes, and there are more empty homes active. According to the numbers, I think you wrote down there, we're up quite a bit. But if you do notice in these numbers, let's go over what is the average sales price is still the same. It's in that mid 300s. It hasn't changed. A lot of these other numbers are indicating some uncertainty in the market, but the price is staying the same. There has been a few price decreases that I mentioned at the last show.
We were talking about the multifamily units, like
Yes.
the townhomes,
townhome style and the kind of the spec smaller ones,
duplexes, that
yes,
type thing.
and that right there, I believe if they take another step, another decrease, which I know people don't want to do, then you'll see some of that inventory moving more. But right now, for whatever reason, the prices are staying stable, and there's real estate moving. I mean, we're not saying this is historically still better than we've ever been, but
closings are down some, a little bit.
The closings are down from year to date a little bit. I mean, I think it was like
4%,
4%. Yeah. So it's not a lot, but it is an indication of things that I said in the last show, that kind of you feel out there. You're seeing more houses for sale. You're not seeing the subdivisions starting to get developed. There's a lot of them in play, like we've talked about. And then there's not a lot coming at the city level, at the administrative or planning commission level in the city of Shelbyville. There's been the last 2 months just not a lot going on. Like I said earlier, that does happen every year. There is a lull, but it's usually towards the holidays and not in the middle of
not in the middle
prime
of
time.
June and July.
That's right.
All right, so active inventory, big number, up 45%.
Yes.
So that's the number you want to look at here, and I think that's going to forecast some price decreases, because honestly, a lot of these townhomes and stuff are way overpriced, and you start hearing the rent. Some of them have going to like, well, we'll rent these instead of sell them.
That's right.
And the rent on these things are astronomical for this area. We have always enjoyed a low cost of living here.
Yes.
And when you start pricing our stuff like it's in Nashville or Murfreesboro or Williamson County, our cost of living is shooting up.
And you hit the nail on the head, David. And that's what a lot of these realtors, they're not just all local realtors like they used to. And I always encourage people to use local realtors and use a local appraiser that knows the area. But they are shooting for these prices, which they are getting in some cases, which has driven the market up. But predominantly, you're seeing right now with the kind of stagnation that there has to be something's got to give, and in my opinion, it's going to be the list price.
Well, the average household income in Bedford County cannot sustain paying 60% of their income toward their housing.
The math
you
does
can't
not
do
work.
it.
The math
it needs to be. Honestly, it probably needs to be in the 20 to 30% range, maybe 30, stretching it. I've heard 40. 40 is getting up there high where it's past where you need to be, but no more than 30.
Well,
it used to be 25%.
And then you hope that the tariffs don't come in effect.
Well, that's what we're fixing to talk about now. Hope nothing. They're here.
Yeah, they're here. There's no.
Okay.
Yeah.
Donald Trump rolled it out yesterday morning on Truth Social. Basically, we're going to have a 55% tariff on all goods coming in the United States from China. That means it's a tax on the consumer.
So let's understand on a fundamental level what a tariff is, because I've been misinformed or I've just not done the right information until tariffs have become a big issue recently.
Yeah.
So it's a big deal that's going to affect our pocket, our money, our livelihood on things that we receive from other countries. And let's try to set the record straight for those that may not understand or are watching this for the first time. A tariff is a tax on the American people. Whenever a good comes to the American coast, that tariff is imposed on that product. And if that tariff, once that good is received,
what? The people shipping it don't pay it. The people receiving it pay. So that's me. That's you. Okay.
That's right.
We import. Okay.
That's right.
When I get that first bill that says, okay, your stuff is here to be picked up at the port, the tariff is added on top of the product.
By the way, you've got to pay this extra 30 or whatever percent in order to get your product. So you being, the retailer, you say,
actually, you're just the receiver, and most likely you're a distributor of that product.
So then you're not going to eat that cost. You're going to
it's part of the cost. It's part of the cost of that product.
So eventually it comes to my house and to your house when I go to the grocery store. Now, word on the street is right now, a lot of people aren't seeing those right now. Prices are up on everything. Some are.
They're starting to trickle in. It depends on how fast your supply chain runs and what industry you're in. And sometimes you have 4 turns a year. Sometimes you have 2 turns a year.
Right.
Sometimes you have 6 turns a year. The 2 turn a year stuff, it's not hit us yet.
Right.
But when that 2 turn a year stuff starts hit, you're going to see it rapidly as the shelves are restocked. That little price tag and that little sign next to it is going to have a higher number on it.
Yeah, the tariff items that are sitting in storage right now are in the corner. They're using the inventory they have, but then eventually they're going to have to come to those.
But here's the thing about that, Bo. Those that are sitting in the corner, they've already paid a higher price for it.
Yes.
They have to go up on that stuff that's sitting there now, even though they paid less for it because they had to replace it with stuff that costs more.
Well,
so it's starting to happen. It's filtering in.
But I guess every one of them has their own equation. They may go up slowly, maybe on stuff until it gets to the tariff. I don't know. I mean,
maybe so. Everybody's got their own way of figuring it. But the bottom line is the bottom line. If these businesses do not make the bottom line and they can't pay their employees and they can't pay their overhead, then stuff starts to get cut. And usually the first thing that gets cut is the employee list.
Yes. And then notice, we're not mentioning any names about that. We're talking about tariffs here. A tariff, it can be implemented by anybody in the world, a president or whoever, any type of government. And in this case, we're talking about, this has nothing to do with the person implementing any type of tariffs in anything. So let's not get caught up on, who the president is when this is happening. Negative things can happen to a person that you support. Negative,
here's
they
the thing,
can do
Bo.
things that you don't like.
They did this. All right. Donald Trump. I'm gonna call his name. He came up. He and his crew of financial wizards. Okay, and I'm using that term very loosely. I think they're ignorant to what's going to happen. Yes. Obviously, they are.
Yes,
because this is going to have a major impact.
I just don't see though that how they don't see that. But here's the thing: is I can see past that. I love Donald Trump. He's done so many great things for this country, but I can't when somebody's not doing something I don't agree with, I can't even just blindly agree with that.
Well, it's not whether you agree or not. It's what the damage is going to be. I mean, you can say, "Oh, I love Donald Trump." Yeah, sit there and pay twice the price, and still love him to death. Yeah, but we're paying out the yin yang.
I just wish there was a better solution, and I still feel like that there is an ultimate last hope. Maybe I'm hoping.
The way it is, Bo. Prices are just going to go up. We either buy the stuff or we don't. If we're not able to buy it, we just don't get it.
And prices are going to go up historically, I guess. I mean, we're getting rid of the penny now, which is a whole other issue.
That's another topic we'll talk about later.
But things are going to always go up. But the thing is it seems like they're going to go up, make a big jump, and we just had a huge jump after COVID.
Well, those are tariff. Those is that wasn't just COVID.
Yeah,
that was tariff related because Trump put in a 20% tariff or a 25% tariff. I think it's 25% tariff. In the latter part of 2018, it took effect in 2019, and at the end of 2019, this was all starting to hit at the same time COVID did, and all these prices went up, and Joe Biden got blamed for it. Now, a lot of that spending and all that free money added fuel to that fire, but those prices from the Chinese products was already going up.
Well, and then you brought up something interesting earlier, and history tells you a lot. The Great Depression in the 30s. Apparently, probably
tariffs
10 years before
could have
that,
triggered it.
Tariffs could have triggered that. So tariffs can have an impact, and a lot of times you don't see it immediately. It takes years for it to see. I don't know. I still have hope that I wish they would wipe the tariffs clean. It shows you how much I understand. I understand enough that I need to understand, but I do know that we're not taxing them. We're paying for it. You're paying for it. Regardless.
Yeah, I'm looking up that,
and I love what Trump's done on a lot of things. The immigration policy,
the tariff, and the Great Depression was Smoot-Hawley tariff. Okay,
the Smoot-Hawley.
If you want to do some research,
I'm going to look it up.
You can look at that.
I didn't know that,
and it could have triggered the collapse of the stock market.
Yeah,
and that's something that's history. Okay?
I would say that it did play a role.
I don't want to see that. I don't want to see that replay in the United States. But we're headed for a recession, and there's no way out of it. It's just for how deep of a recession, and if it gets to a depression.
Yes.
Okay, because this country cannot handle that with the societal upheaval we have going on out in Los Angeles right now. We can't take people out in the streets without jobs.
That's right.
No, while this is going on.
No, that is their job. They're getting paid to be bussed out there and to act like idiots and to cause chaos, which that's what they love. They love to cause chaos. They hate America.
What I'm saying, Bo, is if you've got that turmoil going on and then you throw in the turmoil of a huge unemployment and people are struggling.
Yes.
You're talking about anarchy. You're talking about people rising up against their government,
and that's what that side wants. They're anti-American. That's what they want. They want chaos. They don't care if anything goes up. They get it free anyway. They want to depend on the government, and yet they want to fight them at the same time. They're crazy. It's crazy, but yes, I do see what you're saying. I see what you're saying,
and for people to think about, why would our government throw fuel on the fire?
Yeah, I just can't see what they're thinking, and maybe it's a part of a huge plan that's going to come out.
I think there's a plan. Good. I think there's a plan,
but I really do hope, because it just doesn't seem like the nature or the character of Trump, and I know, and that's why we need to all pause. We need to all pause. I don't
think it's just him, Bo. I think it's a whole crew of people that have surrounded him, that are directing him and leading him around. And honestly, he's making some good decisions and he's making some bad decisions, but there's a bigger force in play here than Donald Trump.
Yeah, but yes, you're exactly right. And it's an international threat and it's to all of us. But one thing that a lot of times, and I never trust the media. I don't care if it's Newsmax or whoever. I'll watch Newsmax, but we don't know what's really going on. And this all could be, some type of negotiation tactic to where there might be some bad news come out before the real deal gets done. I mean,
I saw a video today. It was on TikTok, and it goes to what Connie is saying, and she's agreeing with you about them getting paid. There was a guy on TikTok, a young guy. He said, I'm out of a job. Mm-hmm. I don't work, and I need money. Mm-hmm. They offered me to go to New York City and protest, and we're going to pay me $200 a day to protest. He said, that's good money.
Well, that's great money.
He said, but I'm not going to stand up. I don't care if I starve to death. I'm not going to stand up against my country for $200 a day. I cannot be bought. He said, but you know what? People are signing up left and right because they're hungry.
It's exactly right. It's a money thing, and
he said they're not about.
They don't know what they're protesting.
Exactly.
Because if you say, okay, everybody that's been here so long, y'all will work out a deal. Okay, next, what do you want? Oh, we just going to burn, and we want the cameras. They just want to see. It's a small area apparently that's burnt, but it's burning hard, and people around there are just kind of going around it like, yeah, whatever.
Well, the big deal is the 14th, which is Saturday, which is supposed to be called not a King Day or no King Day or something. They're saying that Trump is trying to be a king.
Oh my God!
So they're going to be protesting in every major city in the United States, and it's going to be violent. I mean, they're going to haul in bricks just like they did back in 2020. Okay, so what are your thoughts on having the military on American turf fighting Americans and fighting this force? Okay, you got National Guards, but Trump has brought in military, which that violates the Constitution except under certain situations. And we need to get Paul Engel on to tell us what situations that our military can be used. And I thought it was from another military threat. So I don't know if Trump is considering illegal immigrant thugs to be a military threat. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe it's a cartel or something.
And it might be a lot of rhetoric as well, but I guarantee you they'll be on standby. Now, what do I think about that? I think it's sad that we have to, even talk about having that issue. And for those that want to come and brick and hit towns around even where I live or where we live, I'd say good luck, because we're all very well armed around here. So bring it on. But this is total ludicrous, and this is what people want. So these people without a job, they want to get paid by a protester, and they're probably giving the bricks and giving everything, and they just want to cause destruction. We've got to fight back. No more of this. Is this going to happen every 4 years? Are we going to just let it happen? We've got to.
Well, I don't think there's.
And you know what? We don't need to fight back, but we've got to stand guard. And
I know. But here's the thing, Bo. And I was talking to somebody about this very thing today. When you're standing guard, okay, standing up against this stuff, and a human being comes up and they're going to hurt you or your family, are you willing to pull out a gun and defend yourself? There's not many people. There's a lot of people say pound their chest and say, oh yeah, I would. But until you get to that point to where you have to do it, it's a different set of thought process. It's a different mindset completely. You think and you run through it. It's fight or flight. 90% of Americans will flight.
Yeah, and I would hate to be in that situation. I would hate to have to use my weapon for self-defense.
But that's what you're talking about.
Have to, yes, that. I mean, I'd feel very confident in our local authorities, taking care of right here. But
we ain't got enough. Cities, we don't have enough.
Well, we don't. But we've got to help them. But I think we've got some good citizens, and that'd be where I would champion some type of citizen.
Well, Bo, it's right here. It's here. Well, trust me, it's here. And we just don't see it.
Well, everybody just stay on guard.
That's right.
And that's all you can do. Yeah. Take care of you and your family. But no, I do not agree with this chaos. I mean, I would just, say peace all the time. But, some people don't want to be peaceful.
Here's an idea. What if Homeland Security had an armed force, okay, as peacekeepers for the homeland?
Yeah, I think that would
versus, and maybe it be the National Guard and you change their name.
Yes. I think that'd be
to
more
where it's
constitutional.
not military per se, but equivalent to military capacity.
Yes,
because our local law enforcement does not have military capacity that will be up against.
That's right, and I think that's kind of the sentiment. I mean, he's saying, he said the Marines, but it's kind of the sentiment. I mean, they're going to do something. They're not going to let this happen.
I think you ought to take all the Marines that want to volunteer and deputize them.
Yeah, I mean, there's
instead of making you Marines, you're going to be deputies.
There's probably some type of
there's a way to get
workaround.
Yeah.
But the thing is it's not really a workaround. We're wanting security. All we want is just peace. And a lot of these the people that are here, the immigrants or people that I know that have gotten legal, they just can't stand this.
But here's my problem. I'm sitting here thinking, we called National Guard, we call in the Marines, but yet they're still burning cars.
Yeah, I don't.
Are we just going to sit out there and watch them? Or are we going to clean it up?
Well, again, they don't know what they're burning cars about. They're just out there.
I know, but they're still doing it, Bo, and we've got Marines standing there.
I don't know why they're not hauling them off. I know that they don't want to make a martyr out of anybody again because, Lord knows everybody's so stupid that they make a martyr out of criminals. But,
I think this is where martial law can be in place.
Well,
and I know you don't want to do that in a major city like that, but in an area of the city, I think you can declare a martial law. And if you stick your head out, you're in danger.
It's sad
of getting shot.
Yes, and maybe that has to happen. But it's sad that the local authorities there and the state authorities are too coward to take on this.
They're helping a protest.
They're helping, so they have to bring in the federal authorities, and that's and they're coming in good faith.
All right, did you hear what DeSantis said today?
No,
he said in the state of Florida, if you're driving your car down the highway and protesters are standing out and they're coming at you, you have our permission to run over them.
Yeah, it's
basically he said that on a press conference, Bo, and I'm like, are you serious? A United States governor said it's okay to take your car and run over somebody because we're in that position right now.
Well, the problem is it's not okay to be in the road in the roadway.
Exactly.
So it's kind of like, don't get in the roadway. That's a good way to die. I don't get that. I've never been of that mindset. I don't know. He said it.
He said it.
I don't want to give people a license to do anything.
Here's the problem with that. The governor said that. Now, if somebody's going to say, okay, if they get in my way, I'm going to run them over.
Yeah.
Well, the attorney general.
The governor told me.
The attorney general of the state might come up and file charges against you.
Yeah, the governor said it. Yeah. Well, any pedestrian crime now was blamed on the governor.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Bo, there's a whole lot of things in play right now.
Yeah.
And this is just what's happening.
Yeah.
But I think there's so many people with their heads in the sand. I want everybody to think for yourself.
Yes.
Please. And do this research.
Please think for yourself.
Go back to this tariff that caused the Great Depression. The name of it is Smoot-Hawley. The theory is, now it's a theory, that this triggered the Great Depression. And I'm going to get into the ins and outs of that to see how it compares to what's happening today, because our tariff situation, people are going to be in when it's time to go back to school and you go to buy the new shoes and the new clothes and the school supplies, all that stuff coming from China, it's going to be up here. And then into the holiday season this fall, if this 55% tariff stays in play, it's going to be shock.
It's going to be a different world, and I hope that it doesn't come to that. I really do. I mean
that's where we're at.
Well, all I can say is good luck to you and everybody out there, and do your own research and read about these things. There are positive and negative consequences to everything.
I know what the consequences are to this, Bo, and I just don't want to say it out loud.
Yeah,
it's not. I think the big, and I'll kind of sum it up in a summary. Your big corporations that have stockpiled inventory will adjust slow enough to where it doesn't impact their business, and it's kind of going to be a gradual, slowly, and there are some things that'll be all of a sudden. But the small business person that has to change their process to survive, they'll drop like flies all over this country. Those small business will drop like flies.
Well, there's a lot of bad news, and I know y'all hear, this a lot. But I know that there's hope that, there's one hope we can all hang on, and that's Jesus Christ.
Exactly.
And if you've got him in your heart and believe in him, then you don't have anything to worry about. And until then, just rely on him and get through every day with your family. That's what you have to do.
That's ultimately, that's the answer.
That is the answer. And that's, that's real talk right there.
And unfortunately, we have to navigate the world.
Yeah,
while we're here.
We have to be in the flesh.
And we are here. And this is what we're about to navigate.
Yep.
These things that are coming. So, does your family have supplies stored up? Okay. Can you start looking right now of how to cut your spending back? Okay, those things that we have been so spoiled with we might have to say no to.
Yes, it's time to
Because
say no.
not only are all these little Chinese trinkets, and as Donald Trump says, the T-shirts from China, it's a whole lot more than T-shirts.
Yes.
It's your oil filters, it's your toasters, it's your appliances, it's all these things. We might have to get by with what we got.
We need
or
to
might even have to figure out how to fix some of the stuff that's tore down, because we are going to have to pay more for our groceries too.
We're going to have to get out of the super consumer mindset to where the Amazon box is every day at your front door that you can't wait. You know, we can do without a few things, and I think that we can make it. I know we can make it. I know we've got a strong
This is going to drastically shut Amazon down in some areas too. It's going to affect it.
It's going to be a long time if we see it, but I know that if they do build up the infrastructure of the work and we get a stronger workforce, that America can be built great again.
Let's talk about workforce. Howley out of Missouri today came out with a bill to raise the minimum wage nationwide to $15, and he's got enough co-sponsors in the House to pass it.
Yeah, well, see,
and Donald Trump said he would sign it.
Yeah, and that you just don't you let markets work. You never just put numbers up in there. It ruins the markets for everything, and including minimum wage. I mean, it's slowly gone up, but that's just a little bit high, if you ask me. I don't know. I haven't looked in it too much, but I did hear about that, David.
And Connie Hasty brings up something here. I remember my father talking about things not being available. People today will not be able to cope. That is when everything hits the fan. When people are not able to pay their cell phone bills and upgrade their cell phones, people are going to go like, I don't know, I can't survive without this screen in front of me.
Yeah.
And then you're going to start seeing these companies starting to hurt because people can't afford to pay $200 and $300 for a cell phone bill because they got to buy milk and bread.
Yeah, that's right.
It's coming.
And they're going to be like, what is dirt? What is this? What is paper? Hey, start knowing what paper and dirt is. Don't ever give up on it.
All right. Well, you mentioned the penny.
Oh, yeah.
Being discontinued. I don't know if people have been keeping up with it, but in 2026, the penny's going to be phased out.
I don't like
all the copper you got in your jars at home, they're not going to be worth anymore, but you might want to get them out and remember them, okay? Because their fishing can vanish. And then the nickel is next on the chopping block because it costs 13 cents to make one. Trump will get rid of it next. And we got 2 denominations of our currency gone.
And that's going to have a significant impact on the structure of pricing in retail. Everything will be rounded.
And the transactions are going to be rounded up, Bo.
Yeah, there'll be no more $18.99.
This is the start of the elimination of our physical currency.
And I don't like that. You know my opinion on currency. I love physical cash, and you know, I just think that it's a shame.
Cash is king, buddy.
It is,
and it's going to start vanishing. They're going to have us all digital if they have their way about it, and that's why you've got all these cryptocurrency gurus around in the Trump administration. They're going down the checklist of having things set up.
It's scary.
It's all going to be digital.
That's scary when everything's digital. I like my silver though. I'm still stacking up my silver.
It's still up there, Bo.
It is.
It's like
around 36 or 37.
It was 36.40, I think, when we came on the air. So
yeah, well,
it's on the upswing, and there's many people that say it will be triple digits before you know it.
Well,
and that is a sign of hard economic
Yes,
times.
it is.
All right.
Precious metals.
Not to scare everybody, but just to lay out some information.
Hey, this is real talk.
This is real talk. Okay, it's not for the faint of heart.
No, it's not. It's
and
really
we ain't even talk about much local stuff. We'll just stick on this because honestly, what's happening in Los Angeles is a distraction to what's happening in Israel, Ukraine, Iran, and Washington D.C.
Oh, yes,
it's a mess.
It is a mess. It is a mess.
We'll be back. I don't know when. Probably
the next
first
time.
of the week.
Probably first of the week. But you never
know. If we
know.
have something pop up, we're going to jump up here and talk about it.
We got something to real talk about. We're going to
talk. All right. Thanks everybody for watching. Y'all. And again, thank you for our sponsors, Norris Plumbing, where he is a tariff buster. His prices are good. They're not unaffordable. If you need work done, get it done.
24 hours a day.
Call Jay with Norris Plumbing. They'll take care of you.
That's right.
Thanks for watching. We'll see you again real soon.